The following is a special presentation of iRacing on LSRTV, your home for sim racing.
Listen up, the soap you shower with, it's you probably haven't even questioned what bar of soap you lather up with. Let's face it, most guys don't. They're still using whatever bar their mommy bought for her little man. Is that what you want? To smell like mama's little man? Ugh. But now you can upgrade your shower game with Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. Click the link for Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. Real soap for real men. Or don't. And continue to be mommy's little helper.
Live tonight from the Golden State, we are here at Irwindale Speedway for round 17, the Ballroom Blitz 200 for the Dr. Squatch Pro Series presented by SESRA right here on your home for sim racing, LSRTV. David Schulthouse joined alongside by Justin Prince, Brett Wheeler down in the production booth, giving you all the sights and sounds of tonight's action. And Justin, been a couple of weeks off since we've last seen this series, fading back to Las Vegas and the drama that unfolded. 2 laps to go. Spencer Preet, Michael Cozy Jr. get together off of turn 2, opening the door for Jeff Ward to get another win and stretch out that points lead. A lot of emotion after that race. We heard from both Preet and Cozy Jr., saying they were not tolerating any more funny business on the track. 2 weeks to cool off. Do you think those mentalities have changed? Do you think it's still going to be elbows out for these drivers?
I kind of think it's still going to be elbows out because this is kind of a wild card race as talked about in Irwindale. You're going to have a very small racetrack where tempers are going to be flaring. Just half a mile around the circuit, a track many drivers are not used to. It was in fact reported by some drivers that some of those tempers flared out, in fact, throughout the practice tonight. It's going to be the question of, can the drivers keep those composed enough to where they don't burn up their equipment or destroy their equipment to get to victory lane? I think that's going to be in the minds of a lot of drivers tonight, David.
So what we have set up for you tonight is 200 laps of racing action here at the half miler. So they give you a 100-mile total distance. Of course, Irwindale Speedway, half mile in distance, got that variable banking that it's known for, ranging from 6 degrees on the bottom all the way up to 12 degrees up there towards the wall, where I expect many of these drivers to be based off of what we saw in practice. The high line seemed to be the favored way to go. This is the second race of the 5-race West Regional to close out the season, and now we got 4 races to settle a championship. Of course, coming into tonight, Jeff Ward, the man firmly in control of this championship, up 31 points over second place Spencer Preet. So for Jeff Ward, certainly going to be 4 weeks of tense moments, but he just has to cruise, I think, to get this thing locked up. And as we say that, Justin, we got cars on the track. So let's take a look at tonight's starting lineup. And of course, the man leading to the green once again for the 4th time in 5 weeks. Tonight's V2 Designs pole winner is going to be that man in the 9, Jeff Ward. To his outside, the man chasing him in points, the 00 of Spencer Preet. Inside row 2, with the 99 of Michael Cozy Jr. To his outside, the 227 of Kyle Vincent Gilbert. Row number 3 will have the 24 of John Johnson. To his outside, the 01 of Tyler Duggan. Position number 7 will be Brad Collins in the number 28. Rick Thompson in the 29 will line up in 8th. Mike Montesi in the 7 will be 9th. Jay Graves Jr. in the 86 will round out the top 10.
Ryan Watch just sits outside that top 10, has had some strong runs throughout the season, just has not had the luck to match. David Netzel starts alongside him. Derek Paulson starts back in 13th, with Matt Ridgway to his outside. In the following row, it's Mark Arthur starting alongside Jason Taylor, with Sonny Thompson looking to outrun Brian McRae. Rounding out the cars that put in qualifying times, Jason Anderson, Fred Thompson. 3 drivers did not record times in qualifying: Taylor Butcher Benjamin, Steve Ritter, and Ashton Swiss here. David?
23 car field set ready to go for 200 laps around Irwindale, and talking to some of these drivers before the race, Justin, seemed to be the setup might be a little bit on the tighter side, so got to manage the equipment as always, be nice to those tires. One set of tires, in fact, in the pits, and I think we heard from these guys halfway might be the point where we see them change tires, but a lot of that depending on where the yellows may fall.
Exactly. That may work if they get some long runs. It was compared by Rebellion Racing's Kyle Vincent Gilbert to be basically compared to Stafford. If they can get some long green flag runs, it can really mix things up strategy-wise and how the race flows. And with there just being that one set of tires, you burn up that set of tires or pit too early trying to undercut thinking you're going to get a mirage of cautions, that is where your race can completely fall apart. It's going to be the question to see who will manage the right front tires and try and keep it together, because it can get as low as in the 30% mark in tires remaining for that right front by the end of a run.
Fuel certainly not going to be as much of an issue. They can go somewhere between 130 to even upwards of 170 laps, I think. I was told by Derek Paulson. So fuel not going to be the concern. It'll be tires and when you make that stop. But when you do make that stop, that will be the one and only time you can take tires here tonight. Again, big thanks to V2 Design for sponsoring the pole award, won by Jeff Ward one more time. Victor over at V2 Design, proud to share his artistic talent with the fastest driver each and every week here in the SESRA Series. Jeff Ward's won more of those awards than anybody, but nonetheless, the pace car is off. The field is in the hands of Jeff Ward, getting down into the restart zone, looking for that green flag to get this race underway, and there it is. Green flag is out here. Ballroom Blitz 200 underway. Jeff Ward, Spencer Preet, Michael Cozy Jr. down into turn 1 for the first time.
And Ward was the only driver to get down into the 16s in qualifying, but you can see how much more powerful, if you can get the outside of stick, it can be. Spencer Preet to the lead to start off the first lap.
I expect to see a lot of muscle out of Spencer Preet here tonight and bring his Rebellion Racing teammate Michael Cozy Jr. with him as well to try and gang up on Jeff Ward and really get a win. We've talked time and time again about Spencer Preet being a very aggressive driver, leading a lot of laps, but seemingly undoing himself somewhere along the way to prevent himself from getting more wins. He has 6 wins on the season along with Jeff Ward. Feels like he should have more, but a guy who doesn't have any wins, that 99 of Michael Cozy Jr., oh so close so many times. Perhaps tonight at Irwindale will be the time he can finally nail it down.
Yeah, that's going to be a mighty if he can keep the car clean and out of trouble. He might be in that perfect spot. At times, though, he's been stuck in traffic. He's gone in basically snowball situations where things have gone from bad to worse that have destroyed his race. If he can keep the car clean this time, it might be different. Caution, though, is a major pileup off the corners.
That's going to be the 13 of Matt Ridgway getting together there with the 51 of Jason Anderson. The replay comes up on the screen. We'll look and see what happens here. It looks like contact initiated between Ridgway and the 5 of Derek Paulson. Ridgway getting up into the left rear of Paulson, turning him around, and Jason Taylor nowhere to go as the field comes through. Turn 2 there, Justin. So a little contact between Paulson and Ridgway, and then in comes Jason Taylor.
And that was a major difference in speed. It looked like Ridgway just missed the corner braking-wise compared to everybody else in the line. Ran over the back of Paulson. That was an 8 miles per hour difference. Taylor, nowhere to go for him, gets pushed in his front bumper as well. And now that ended up leading to Calamity Corner, essentially. Paulson got the least of it. Got the back damage that isn't as much of a factor at the short tracks. However, the other two might have to worry about temps as the race goes on tonight.
And that was in turns 3 and 4, my mistake, not 1 and 2. So coming onto the front straightaway there, Matt Ridgway in the 13, that Ghostface Brewing Beer Labs paint scheme here tonight. Blackout scheme under the lights, but a little dubious start there for the driver of the 13, and certainly for Loud Pedal Motorsports driver Derek Paulson, not the start he was looking for within the first 10 or so laps, just trying to ride it out there. And I think it's just a simple misjudgment from Matt Ridgway that led to that contact. But that's a good point you made, Justin. When you get contact on the front, you make you run into somebody, temperatures and overheating can become an issue here, so something to keep an eye on for that 51 of Jason Taylor.
Yeah, that front end is completely destroyed when you look at it as well for Ridgway because of how significant the contact was. Then you have the contact from behind as well. That thing's going to be very hard to manage throughout this entire race today, already having significant damage. And we're just on lap 8 imagine how some of these cars will look at lap 200 today to end off the race.
Well, it might look like they did 200 laps around Bristol as well. While we have the opportunity under caution, let's give a big thanks to the series sponsor, Dr. Squatch Soap Company. They raised the bar for the men's grooming industry and changed the way men approach their hygiene by providing healthy, all-natural products that allow you to feel like a man and smell like a champion. You can use promo code SESRA15 at drsquatch.com for 15% off of your first order. That's promo code SESRA15 at drsquatch.com for 15% off of your first order. So big thanks to the Dr. Squatch Soap Company. And Justin, we saw Dr. Squatch down in Daytona sponsoring one of the cars for Sieg Racing, I believe the 38 of Josh Bilicki. So that was really cool to see, not only involved here in iRacing, but actually in the NASCAR Xfinity Series as well.
Yeah, growing their involvement in motorsports, especially to help grow their brand. And it was kind of a bit of a surprise, too, to see that sponsorship of the car. We were talking about that once it was announced, and I shared it between the two of us. It's great to see them growing their involvement in the sport and trying to grow their brand in brand awareness in motorsports. But now, that machine in the 00 with that sponsorship will look for a good restart on the bottom this time.
Absolutely. Field coming down to the restart zone. Spencer Preet, the man in control. Green flag back in the air. He's down and away. Jeff Ward not quite there with him. Here comes Michael Cozy Jr., KVG there as well. The first 4, 5, 6 cars dive in there. Look at Rick Thompson in the 29 up around the high side, but Preet gets a good clean getaway. The fight's on for second. Cozy down low, Ward up top.
And a bit of a clean start once more, but again, that high side leads to an absolute burst by Jeff Ward. He wants to try and get that lead back, and he's trying as many different lines as he can, trying to diamond off the corner. However, you see Mutt with Cozy Jr. from behind him. If you can ride that high line and get the proper exit, you can just burst on by if you get side by side out of the corner exit.
It's fun to see these lanes work, and that's part of the beauty of the progressive banking. You see Cozy look down low, nothing doing there. 12 degrees of banking up top versus the 6 on the bottom side. Yeah, it's a shorter radius down there, but you can't carry the same amount of speed, and it's certainly harder on the equipment to keep turning the wheel that hard. You ride around the top, you might lose some time in the center of the corner, but you certainly make it up on exits. Look at this contact. That's the one of Ryan Wash way to the inside, banged against the door.
This is going to be trouble.
And still no yellow flag despite the contact. Ryan Wash came flying in there, but we got to go green.
We got a car backwards on the racetrack. There is the caution. Brian McRae was stopped backwards down the backstretch.
A lot of damage for the 35 machine. That is unfortunate for Brian McRae. Had a pretty tough season by and large, and this all started with that contact initiated by the one of Ryan Wash. Really checked up the field, and after that contact occurred, everyone just sort of stacked it up, and it was an accordion effect back through the field.
I think at that point it was Ryan Wash trying to go for a slide job. That was something many drivers said that would be what they're going to do to try and make a pass. Problem is, the 24 John Johnson, he wanted to diamond off the corner at the same time Wash was trying to slide up towards that middle line. That sent him around. Nowhere for everyone else to go. 28 got turned around the front bumper. McRae nowhere to go as that had just a split second to react, and everyone else involved just basically incidental contact or racing deal with nowhere else for any of the cars to go.
So that's, let's see, the 35 of McRae, the 17 of David Neitzel involved, the 28 of Brad Collins. I think Taylor Butcher Benjamin might have just snuck through, barely made it through there, very, very close. The 16 of Steve Ritter, the orange, number 16, involved there as well, along with the 12 of Mark Arthur, barely getting a piece of that. So one bold move by Ryan Wash affects 6 or 7 other drivers' races here already as we work our second yellow flag of the night.
And that's going to potentially, I think, destroy McRae's race because he's already in the pits having to get these repairs done. On the bright side for Ridgeway, after getting that end of the longest line penalty, having to put a lap down, he's going to get that lap back. However, this is kind of the way I seen it trending for some of these drivers tonight. You already have some already having to get repairs. So it's going to get even more interesting as the laps tick on down and you have less time to try and get some moves, how this race turns out.
Well, Justin, you were listening into the pre-race commentary, the discussion, the drivers' meeting, as it were, coming down from the top to the drivers. What was discussed? What were the admins urging the drivers to do?
basically the main topic was essentially, of course, don't overdrive for one, but for two, to race honorably with integrity, meaning don't go out there trying to bump someone out of the way and ruin someone's race if you end up losing your cool or letting your emotions get in the way. They want the drivers to think with basically level-headed, essentially, to make sure everyone else gets to the finish and you don't end up, say, bumping, running someone out of the way and destroying 10 other cars in the process. That's kind of what they want to see, and that's, I think, what everyone is hoping to see, whether it's the drivers, officials, even us potentially in the broadcast booth.
Well, 2 quick yellows within the first 20 laps. Certainly not what we're accustomed to seeing here in this series, but nonetheless, maybe those drivers will heed the words from race control and race honorably with integrity. That's a good way to put it. I like that. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out, but lights are out on top of the pace cars. We get ready for another restart here. Spencer Preet looking to get the same jump. Kind of surprised to see him on the bottom side considering how good that top side has been, but allows him to get a good clean getaway since he is the one that controls these restarts. And they get down into the restart zone here on lap 22. Spencer Preet down and away once again.
And he hit it on the nose right there. Why he went to the bottom, gets a better launch once more, and if he can just clear on by on the high side, he's able to protect the high side. That's what he does. Wards moves up to second, but look at the driver in the pink car. That's Tyler Dugan driving a bunny paint scheme and diving his way into the top 5.
A nice move there in that very bright pink. I like that paint scheme. That is sharp. James Duggan, I'm not sure we've seen his name here yet in this series, Justin. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong there, but that's not a name I'm familiar with. As here comes Michael Cozy Jr. to the outside of Jeff Ward, so the fight for second starting to heat up.
And that 0-1 usually driven by Travis Brown in some races. They were actually talking about that paint scheme before the race and saying, we're hoping it gets shown on camera, as a wreck is about to be shown on camera as the 55 was turned around. That is Sonny Thompson.
And got help into the outside wall from the driver that kicked off the second caution flag. That's the number 1 of Ryan Wash. And ooh, an ugly incident as we get it pulled up on the replay for you. Gets hooked in the right rear and sent into that awkward opening going into turn 3. All 4 tires come off the ground. Derek Paulson involved there, as well as the 12 of Mark Arthur. And we're quickly under our 3rd caution flag of the race, and not sure how you really call that one, JP, of just not giving a driver enough room or just not patient, or I'm not sure how you describe that.
I just think it's he thought there was more space than there was, and in the case there, Wash wasn't giving any, basically not backing off with, not probably expecting Sonny Thompson to come up. And in the end, Sonny Thompson just gets turned as a result, basically trying to squeeze being between him and the 8 car of Taylor Butcher Benjamin, and he ends up paying the price for making a mistake. If he stayed to the bottom maybe to make sure he was for sure clear, I think he would have been okay. I think that was just the case where he heard the spotter, didn't realize in the mirror that Wash was right on his right rear quarter panel.
Just a lack of spatial awareness there for Sonny Thompson, and for the 55, heavy impact in that outside wall. Other drivers involved, like I said, Derek Paulson, Mark Arthur, the 16 of Steve Ritter, and the 28 of Brad Collins all got more damage in this wreck, trying to work their way through. Collins is on pit road once again. A lot of damage to the back of the 16 for Steve Ritter. So now 3 yellow flags here, JP, in the first 30 laps. Not the kind of precedent this field was looking to set, but to be fair, these wrecks have been occurring in the mid-pack and the back of the pack. So when you have those situations, you know, the pre-race talks and the driver chatter, I'm sure that's happening at this point, all you can do is hope for the best, but if you're up front, I guess that's the best place to be.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I think a lot of people take the short track racing at this point, because the more cars you have behind you, the less likely you're going to have to have the risk rather of being involved in someone else's mess. And I think that's what a lot of these drivers up at the front are probably thinking. And it could become even bigger of a key the more we head towards this halfway point of this race, where drivers might be forced to use that one set of tires when they know for sure they cannot stay out longer. They have to take fewer, take tires. If they're under caution, that's going to be a major risk, though.
Always mitigating risk as best you can, but sometimes it's just a part of the deal as we get ready for another restart. New player on the front row for this one, Michael Cozy Jr. So it's a lockout of the front row for Rebellion Racing. Preet into the restart zone, down and away, gets away from Cozy Jr. by a wide margin. 99 sleeping just a little bit as the fight is on behind Preet through 1 and 2.
And he's going to get turned. Kyle Vincent Gilbert with the bump. And here comes the big one.
Oh, that's not good for Michael Cozy Jr. Contact from behind from, like you said, Kyle Vincent Gilbert, who is a teammate at Rebellion Racing. That's not the sort of thing you expect to see. That's a pretty finely tuned machine over there for the Double R crew. And around goes the 99 in front of the field. That'll collect the likes of the 86 of Jay Graves Jr., the 7 of Mike Montesi, the 24 of John Johnson, the 19, Ashton Schleiss. And, of course, Steve Ritter got another piece of that one. I think he's hit everything but the lottery here so far as we go under our 4th caution flag here at lap 33.
And I think that's just, again, coincidence of the racetrack. Preet timed him up for that restart, first off. And if basically immediate apologies for basically everyone at that point, too. Just an accordion effect. Nowhere for any of the cars to go once more. And it ends up causing the big one once more on the racetrack. So mostly everyone's now got damage on this racetrack except for basically 6 or 7 cars who are not even 40 laps in.
A lot of damage to that 99 machine for Michael Cozy Jr. We've highlighted his struggles to get the wins, even though he's been in the right position. Talk about, flashback to a couple weeks ago at Las Vegas, the last time these guys raced. Seemingly was in the position to win that race, was getting tracked down from behind by Spencer Preet. They get together off of turn 2, the C's part for Jeff Ward, coming to the white flag, and he went on to win that race. Michael Cozy Jr. very disappointed. 2nd place finish, and let a lot of emotions come out in the post-race interview, as did Spencer Preet. Not necessarily against one another, but with other cars in the field. Now you get wrecked by a teammate. It's almost worse, JP, when you get wrecked by a teammate, because you can say sorry and you know that, it's a guy that you know and trust, but still, how do you feel good about that?
I don't know if you can feel good about that, because you're going to give... I think there's going to be more slack, of course, since it's a teammate, but as well, since it's short track racing, and that was basically just the deal of, I think, a racing deal in that kind of situation. At this point, as long as he doesn't let it snowball, it can go from here, but you never know what's going to happen on this racetrack at this point. He's going to have to get severe damage at this point repaired with a lot of these cars. But basically, at this point, everyone's got to get their heads together, try and get these laps together. Because it's not good that you have this many cautions 40 laps in. I'm not sure what else to really say in this point, David. It's just been a weird race.
A very uncommon race for the Dr. Squatch Pro Series presented by SESRA as Cozy comes into the pit stall one more time to keep repairing damage. So much damage to that car on the front, on the back as well. The rear bumper dented in, the left front corner all smashed. A lot of damage on that Chevy Camaro for him to try and fix up and do as much as he can with these short pace laps here at the half mile. They don't take very long to get around even under the yellow flag conditions. So got to take advantage of that, get as much fixed up as he's down and away one more time. But, I guess if there's a silver lining to this dark cloud for Michael Cozy Jr. is that the bad luck seemingly has occurred early in the race, leaving him lots of time to recover. And I think he should still be competitive as long as the car holds together and he doesn't find himself in any more wrecks.
I think he will be okay in that kind of case, but watch on this restart how they go, because Preet's on the high side this time as the green flag's up.
Green flag out one more time, and now it's Preet and Ward. Ward dives down to the bottom side in 1. Can he do anything to try and take this lead away? Preet so strong. Up top, nothing cooking for Ward. Give it one more effort down into 3, but that double O, a lot of strength on the top side as he rolls through the middle. He will clear and come back to the line first.
And try to do something a little bit different at work. Duggan, though, almost lost control heading into turn 1. A great save through the slide, but now he's stuck on that inside line. He needs to try and park the bus, especially on the exit of a corner, if he wants to try and preserve positions with how many drivers are freight training him on that outside line.
Now, that's certainly the way that it can go. And look at Jay Graves Jr. on that 86. A lot of damage there, but already up into the 3rd position. So a great run for Jay Graves, and really wheeling it here. One of the best performances for him that I can recall recently in this series. Ryan Wash there as well. Mike Montesi in 6th, though. A lot of these guys taking advantage of the wrecks if they're able to work their way through. Ryan Wash has already had a little bit of an eventful evening himself, but up into that 5th position as the fight will subside for now. They go single file.
And everyone else single file. The only 2 drivers really at the bottom, Jeff Ward and Spencer Preto, the only ones trying to change up the lines because they've got enough space to try and make the said spots and time work without having to worry about an error car going side by side. So I don't blame them for trying to do that at this point. But for everyone else, it's about trying to preserve the tires, and if you see someone falling off, make the move quickly.
Tyler Dugan, that is the correct pronunciation. Big thanks to the friends in chat. Tyler Dugan there in the that pink 01, applying a lot of pressure to the rear bumper of Jay Graves Jr. as they work around the racetrack now. We'll diamond it down there to get a good run off the corner. And that's really what you got to do here. These short tracks set up these passes, but for Dugan making his first trip out to the SESRA Series, making a good account for himself.
Yeah, showing some good pace, has kept the car clean, and of course trying to make a statement with that paint scheme. But I think if you win a race in a pink car, it's got to say something. I'm not sure what it would really say, but it will say something to some of the drivers. Maybe, I can't believe I got beaten by a driver wearing a pink bunny suit as his livery.
It reminds me of a certain race where Kyle Busch was in a pink fire suit. You remember that?
Yes, I think that was from that fan contest Toyota or whatnot had back then. I think he said it was designed by a 9-year-old or something at that time.
Something to that effect. So not unprecedented to see a high-flying driver like that in a pink car or pink fire suit, but still fun to see for Tyler Dugan as he continues to apply a lot of pressure here to Jay Graves, as now get alongside of him as they go by the start-finish line down into turn 1. So the fight for 3rd is on here. Here comes Dugan down bottom side, trying to work past Jay Graves Jr.
And Dugan, I think, and does in fact clear him, so I think now he's starting to see the pace. He started off in the side of the top 10, and that's where some of the damage, I think, from Graves Jr. is starting to build up, because he had that front damage and back damage from some of these incidents, and now Jay Graves Jr. is starting to fall off. It looks like back to everyone else. This is where drivers are going to try and find a way to get by as quick as they can.
That's certainly what Dugan did. Dugan is digging, as we like to say now. That might be the new catchphrase for him if he sticks around and keeps running like this, but latching onto the back bumper of your points leader, Jeff Ward, trying to reel in that number 9. One more time down to the bottom side. He will go. I like that line that he's taking. It gets him a little bit close to that wall on exit, so I'm worried that he might be eating up the right front tire a little bit too much on corner exit doing that, but when you can hang with some of the best in this series in your first start, that's pretty good in my book.
It is, and they've been doing that right, and he's been doing that, showing that he has the talent to try and compete with the best of the best. Now it's the matter of, can he try and get by Ward and Preet? 2 drivers very difficult to pass, and 2 drivers running completely different lines at this point of the race. Although it does seem he seemed to be a little bit faster on Apex. However, Ward seems to be backing up the corners a bit more to get a better launch off, as Wash dives it in for 4th.
A real bold move there by Ryan Wash. Didn't work the last time he tried it, but this time he's able to hold on to it underneath Jay Graves Jr. So Ryan Wash in that number 1 will clear the 86 off of turn 4, so put Ryan Wash up to the 4th spot.
And he went all the way to the bottom and sent it as hard as he can. That was something we expected to see from a lot of drivers, as talked about with one of the earlier incidents we've seen with Wash. And he shows why those drivers will go down there. When you know there's a slower car, you can't afford to get held up because it's such a small track where the lap times are just about 17, 18 seconds each time by. You can't afford to sit behind someone for too long when you know you can lose that much pace.
Ryan Wash, another driver out of the Rebellion Racing stable, so giving a good account for himself. And speaking of Rebellion Racing, let's touch on Michael Cozy Jr., currently scored in the 21st position, 1 lap down. So with the troubles that he had in that wreck where he was turned by Kyle Vincent Gilbert, did end up losing a lap with all that damage. He's going to need the benefit of the another yellow flag to get a wave around or something like that to get back on the lead lap. So for the man who was really on the charge and really had a good opening sentence or 2 to this long race, things went really, really sour there. Finds himself a lap down.
And that's in part, of course, having to get repairs done, going into a closed pit. But now the worry's got to be, can he keep it to where the engine doesn't go? Because as long as you can keep the car on track, he gets in position for a potential lucky dog, as we've just seen Jason Anderson duck into the pits on lap 57.
Might be alternating strategy for the driver of the 27.
No, I think it's because he nearly spun out the car and decided to get fresh tires here.
Oh, interesting. So another one of the drivers for the Ghostface Brewing crew. Yeah, he got a little squirrely going down into turn 1. The lap prior to him coming down pit road, basically drifted. They like to do that drifting here at Irwindale, but he did come down pit road. As the fight here, if we could look back at this fight for a second, Tyler Dugan is absolutely running with the 9 of Jeff Ward, applying a lot of pressure up on the high side. He might be looking to make a pass here.
I think he wants to get the pass done. Ward's trying to use that bottom line where on some tracks it actually means less tire wear if you can get it to work. Tracks like Iowa, it was seen working in the daytime just a few weeks ago with this current build on iRacing. That's why Ward's trying to do it. But the thing is, Dugan, I think, is still on that preferred line where he can get that sling, that run off the corner, basically bank off the corner, down onto the straightaways. As long as he gets Ward in the right spot, he'll be good. But the problem is, look who's in the midst of it. Lap traffic about to come into play, and it's a heck of a lot of lap traffic in front.
Yeah, the next car in line to go lap down will be the 28 of Brad Collins, struggling there, trying to stay out of the way of these guys as they roll through, but that's been a recurring theme throughout this entire season, is the leader trying to get through lap traffic. That was some of the ire that was drawn by the likes of Spencer Preet and Michael Cozy Jr. after Las Vegas, and Preet made it very obvious in his interview. He was done messing around with lapped cars who wouldn't get out of the way, who wouldn't give the racing line to the faster cars. We see Jeff Ward have to jump out of the throttle there, jump on the binders to not run over Brad Collins. So that plays into exactly what I'm talking about. These guys have to be really aware of what's going on and let these faster cars through.
And I think that's you're seeing exactly why those emotions were there as Dugan sends it in deep. Nearly licked the stamp and sent it right into the left rear Ward, but just able to get it put back into control and keep it off Ward. But you can tell now that they're past some of the lap cars for the next few moments, he knows he needs to get the job done now before they reach a train of 4-5 different lap cars in a few laps.
Definitely catching the back part of the field here, so if they can get through these guys cleanly, give them some time to calm down. They're about a straightaway behind the next car to go one lap down. That'll be the 17 of David Neitzel. So trying to get things sorted out as the fight for second continues to stay pretty warm. Dugan still trying to find a way around Jeff Ward, but Ward in that preferred lane up around the top side. Dugan trying to explore down low, just can't quite carry the momentum off the corner exit, but he's giving it a spirited run. I really think he's trying to get through into second place here before they get to the lap traffic.
And we got to remember, too, the top 3 is within 1.3 seconds, top 5 rather, on the racetrack. So they're getting very tightly bunched up. Plus, you have on top of that Mike Montesi right behind them, 1.8 seconds back of Preet. And now it looks like Dugan might have Ward where he wants him just about. If he can get to that right rear quarter panel and the corner exit, he can get the job done this time by.
He's there up to the outside. That's the way to get it done. Nice job for Tyler Dugan. Put Dugan up to the second spot. He passes the points leader, Jeff Ward. Well done there for the rookie. Up to the second spot now. His Rebellion Racing teammate up in front of him, of Spencer Preet. See if he can track him down. We could have a rookie leading this thing at Irwindale. Who would have thought that could be possible?
Anything is possible when it comes to iRacing and if you put enough thought to it. But Dugan, though, you can see how much of a difference in pace he's got compared to Preet. I think he's trying to focus on the short runs pace, try and get the job done. Last time by a 17.7, Preet, last time by an 18-second flat. I think at this point they know he's got the faster short run car. Question will be how he does in the long run. But for now, Dugan's got the car to beat on the racetrack.
I tell you, that 9 of Jeff Ward is falling back just a little bit from this fray. Ryan Wash is right there in the number 1. Kyle Vincent Gilbert there in the 227 on the case as well. So all 5 cars here are starting to get pretty close, like you said. The top 2 pulling away from Ward, those back 2 pulling up to Ward, as the caution flag will negate all of this as we get our 5th yellow flag of the evening.
And Brad Collins, he's sideways in fact too, and this is going to be right in front of the leaders.
Oh, goodness. Brad Collins stuck up on his left side tires. That is That is unbelievable. He'll get down and out of the way there, but let's pull up the replay here and see what happens. Ooh, I see what happened. He got a little help up into the outside wall inadvertently from the driver, the number 5, Derek Paulson. Little door contact sent Brad Collins up the hill, and then he sort of Martin Truex'd it as he rides the wall with the right sides, climbs the wall, and impressively drives on 2 wheels down onto the back straightaway and stays there. Nobody hits him. That is a rather odd wreck, JP.
And I think he showed some displeasure there, too, with Derek Paulson because he was, again, a lap car. I think he was trying to still run his own line, not realizing Paulson was sending it hard, expecting him to stay against the wall. You see him end up door checking him, essentially. And that led to, of course, all of that at this point. So he's not going to be happy, of course, Brad Collins in that 28 machine. But, hey, this means everyone is into the pits, essentially, on the racetrack. Every single driver on the lead lap has ducked into the pits.
A good view there of everything coming now on pit road. All the leaders. Spencer Preet down and away. He'll be the first off of pit road. Here comes Ryan Wash. Not going to quite get there, so Jeff Ward will be second off of pit road. I think it was Wash third, Kyle Vincent Gilbert fourth. Looking to see where the 01 of Tyler Dugan went. He's still in his stall.
And something must have happened. They're going to double check this, of course, at this point, because you got to remember, this is not a usual track you see these kind of race cars. The pit stalls, especially on the front stretch, nearly overlap with one another here at Irwindale. And I think, based on what I'm trying to see here, it was the case of he thought he stopped on his stall. Overshaw basically had to pull forward, then back up. We've seen the same issue at Milwaukee, in fact, I believe, with a couple different drivers, and it just happened to him. That's going to lose him all his track position.
Oh, that's a terrible break for him, as the pit crew does not service the car. He will fall from second back to about 15th.
You have to wonder, did he forget his number or something? But in all seriousness, I think he knew kind of where he was supposed to stop on that. It's just he didn't hit that exact mark for these types of race cars. Now, it's going to be a big test if he can go as deep as he's been in the race from 15th spot for this restart.
Well, the round of service is done for all these drivers. One driver who has not made a pit stop is the man on the outside of the front row. That's the 13 of Matt Ridgway, who is involved in the first yellow flag. Green flag back out. Spencer Preet down and away. This is going to get a little dicey as Ridgway on 79 lap old tires in front of all these drivers who just pitted. He's going to get absolutely consumed, but that is a recipe for disaster.
I don't know what the thought process is here. He is the only driver on the entire racetrack not to pit as Montesi gets spun out.
Yep, contact there just next to Matt Ridgway. Contact from the right front again of Derek Paulson. So 2 incidents in a row sparked off by the driver of the 5 as Montesi was sort of shooting the middle. Paulson back to the gas and just 2 cars going for the same spot. Montesi gets turned on the front straightaway. Paulson nice enough to bump him in the left front to straighten him back out, and they both continue on, but that drew yet another caution flag. And perhaps that's a break for Ridgway, who can come in and get service at this point and not be out there on old tires.
I think the only thing I can think about is what he's doing is, remember, they have only one set they can put on the car, right? I think he's hoping to get the freshest tires possible on the track and hope that it keeps on building up caution after caution, have everyone else have a bunch of heat cycles or burn up, say, 20, 30 laps. If he can stay on the lead lap and, say, come in on a caution, say, at, like, lap 110, lap 120, that would make him have the freshest tires and potentially the fastest car on the track. We've seen it happen a few times before. It might be the case as Cozy Jr. is your lucky dog.
That's good news for Michael Cozy Jr. That's the situation that he needed to get back onto the lead lap. And perhaps you're right for Matt Ridgway, currently scored in the 5th position. I think that's a good strategy. He just needs the yellow flags to fall his way to make it work because he knows everybody around him has taken their one set of tires. So, and these drivers have shown the penchant for, well, bringing out yellow flags here tonight as we're on number 6, I believe, on lap 82. So the odds are good that we will get more yellow flags for Matt Ridgway. He can play this thing out and get some luck to fall his way. He could have the freshest tires out there, and then he just got to be very patient to drive through this field. But I like the strategy if that is indeed what he's doing.
It's a high-risk, high-reward strategy in this situation, I think, for Ridgway. Because if we get a long green flag run and, say, a caution doesn't come out, he might be a lap down within 25, 30 laps. And then the strategy goes out the window because that either puts him at least a lap down while being a lucky dog has to work through all the cars, or ends up being in the case where it doesn't work out if it stays green, say all the way to the finish with the tires. So it's a big gamble. It's a high risk, high reward kind of a situation and strategy from Ridgeway.
Sometimes you got to roll a big ball to hit the biggest strike, right? So for Matt Ridgeway, perhaps that is indeed what he's doing, but the lights are out atop the pace car one more time. Let's take a look at the top 10 for this next restart. It's Preet and Ward on the front row, Kyle Vincent Gilbert, Ryan Walsh, row 2, Butcher Benjamin, Ridgeway, row 3, Ritter, Paulson, row 4, Schleiss and Graves Jr. in row 5. So Spencer Preet been the man out front for pretty much this entire event. Once again, we'll lead the field down to the restart zone. Green flag back in the air. We are underway here, starting lap number 85. Jeff Ward up alongside. Good run down into turn 1. This is the furthest up he has been on a restart yet, trying to challenge for the lead, but here comes that man in the 227, Kyle Vincent Gilbert.
And I think Vincent Gilbert got the best restart out of all the drivers. Had to check up, though, for Preet, so he's not able to try and clear Ward quite yet. But I think Gilbert timed it up just perfectly to get a run as trouble for Ridgeway. He's getting bounced around like a pinball.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of contact there as guys try to work their way past him. Derek Paulson trying to be patient there, doesn't want to spark off yet more contact as he's been responsible for the last 2, giving a lot of room there. But you see how that stacks up this field. There's a lot of action happening up front and back in the pack as well. Lots to keep an eye on. I'll look at the second place battle between Kyle Vincent Gilbert and Jeff Ward for the time being, as Vincent Gilbert working that outside lane masterfully, trying to get around that number 9.
And he's going to get the job done. Ended up sending it in a bit later, braking to try and make sure he got to that outside line, got the job done. Now, with the basically having to be able to focus on the car just in front of him, can he get that done? But look at Ward. He wants second back.
He does. He is not done fighting for that position. Goes up to the top side, trying to regain some of that speed to make another run at KVG. Nothing cooking there. So now Rebellion Racing back into the first 2 positions. Spencer Preet again out front and pulling away ever so slightly. He may have led every lap up to this point. I don't know if anyone's led one other than him.
To correct you, he's led 87 this time by laps. Ward's led 1 lap. Ridgeway's led 2 by staying out during that pit cycle. So Preet's basically led at least 95% of the laps tonight so far here on lap 91.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And Preet definitely in position to... Remember, there's a little battle between Preet and Jeff Ward that extends beyond the season-long championship. It's also how many wins each driver racks up, and I believe they're both currently tied with 6. So a little bit of pride if Preet can't get the championship wrestled away from Jeff Ward. If he can get more wins than him, that might mean a little consolation in the face of not winning that championship.
It can definitely be a big consolation. Remember that the overall points championship, 31 points back. Preet's 2 points back for the West Regionals. So at this point, unless he gets some luck in terms of Ward having trouble, he's probably just going to be focusing on trying to get as many W's as he can under his belt and on his car. As look at that gaggle of cars where that 0-1 machine of Dugan is. He's swamped in a sea of different battered and beaten cars.
Yeah, Tyler Dugan trying to recover from that pit road mistake. Currently scored in that 13th position, battling with the likes of Brian McRae, who's 4 laps down, but he's got the 24 of John Johnson. Oh, contact in front of him. Jason Taylor gets turned. Dugan gets turned as well by Montesi. As the yellow flag will fly once again, Michael Cozy Jr. gets through there. Ridgeway gets turned around a little bit on the front straightaway. But just as we were looking at that battle, JP, contact, and around they go.
Yeah, and that looked like a case where Taylor was a little bit later on the gas that time. Thing is, the driver behind him, John Johnson, ended up not expecting that, basically. Ended up giving him a love tap, and that just ended up having another, or basically, snowball effect. Nowhere for the drivers behind to go, except to try and lock out the brakes and hope for the best, and that ends up destroying a ton of race cars, including Matt Ridgeway, who was hoping that he would not get involved in more trouble and be able to stay out. Now that strategy is out the window since his car is absolutely killed at this point.
A little bit more damage for that 13, involved in the first caution, involved in the most recent caution as well, but still on the lead lap, so the strategy could still be there for him, as it's been some 20 laps or so since everyone else pitted.
Here's the thing. Look where he's placed in behind the pace car. Because it took so long to get going, he's in front of the leaders. If he goes into pit, he will lose a lap. Yes, he's in position to get a wave. He can't do the strategy he wanted to do. Now, because of where he's been placed behind the pace car, he's going to need to hope for one more caution, and he's going to just say, you know what, I'm going to hope I can get the lucky dog. He'll be the only driver a lap down if he can come up before the pace car.
Well, sometimes you have to abandon even the best laid strategies, and we'll take the opportunity here to talk about the guy up front, Spencer Preet, who's been in control of this race, holding off all charges from everyone who's been there, Jeff Ward, Kyle Vincent Gilbert. Seemingly nothing being able to been done for passing that 00. And as we get closer to the halfway point of this race, I'm not sure we've seen everything from the likes of Jeff Ward. He's known to hold things back a little bit and focus on the long run, but speed is speed, and it looks like Preet's got the most speed out of anybody out there.
I think he absolutely does. He's got the cleanest car. He's been setting some of the fastest laps. In fact, the fastest lap of the entire race in a 17.224 so far. Has really been setting a very good average pace, essentially, throughout the entire night. So it's just, no one's been able to force him into a mistake. No one's been able to take advantage of where he's been on the racetrack. And he's been able to be one of the few drivers to still be able to go to the bottom, all the way to the white line, without losing time on the corner exits, which is a huge plus if you're able to get that to work. Now it's going to be the question, can he keep it going, as he's got to hope that it stays to where he doesn't get collected or ran over from behind, or some way, somehow.
It's been one of the biggest problems for these drivers, is maybe initiating the contact themselves or being contacted from behind without even being expecting that to happen. But nonetheless, that's what happens out here on the short track, as the lights will go out atop the pace car one more time. The field will double up. So let's take a look at the top 10 for this coming restart. It's Preet and Gilbert on row 1. Butcher, Benjamin, Ward, row 2. Wash and Ritter, row 3. Schleiss and Thompson, row 4. Jay Graves Jr., Derek Paulson, row number 5. And the field will be in the hands once again of the 00, Spencer Preet. Got his teammate to the outside as they get down to the restart zone, looking for the green flag. Get this race back underway as we go just past the halfway point. There it is. Preet down and away. Kyle Vincent Gilbert trying to keep in his tracks.
And Kyle Vincent Gilbert getting out of some tracks, in fact, because he's trying to use that high line. But look how great a start Jeff Ward got once more. This time able to get something that he can try and capitalize on with that damage from Kyle Vincent Gilbert on the back bumper. The question is, can he get side by side? It's going to get tight, though, for fifth on back, as they're now getting side by side, trying to find a way around, as here comes Ward.
Here comes Ward looking on that side-by-side battles, the 19 of Schleiss versus Rick Thompson in the 29 for about the 7th and 8th position there. Single file ahead of them. Schleiss dedicated to that bottom lane, really cutting down all the way to the white line around the apron, makes up a lot of time. You can do that with these fresher tires, but as the tires wear, really challenging to try and do that. Schleiss trying to make that line work, just not able to get the bite off the corner to complete that pass. They'll stay side by side.
And Schleiss going all the way down to the white line, in fact, to try and get the run. But that's a difference in some cases, too. If you have the talent to get the job done without overdriving the car, you can make it still work on that bottom. He's nearly side by side and nearly trying to clear Thompson every apex. Again, that issue on the corner exits is where Thompson can just pull the time back. But you see it's working because Schleiss, when he hits his marks the right way at the right point, he's getting a little inch by inch. That time, though, the reason he lost the time, he hit the brakes early, meaning he files back in the line as Ritter has to deal with Wash.
Everything seems to be settled out for the time being, so we're just past the halfway point, so that'll give us an opportunity to look at tonight's iRacing Midway Race Break, brought to you by iRacing, the world's premier online racing game with professionally organized racing from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, and more. As they run currently on lap 108 here at Irwindale, is Spencer Preet out in front, Kyle Vincent Gilbert second, Jeff Ward in third, Taylor Butcher Benjamin fourth, Steve Ritter in fifth, Ryan Wash sixth, Rick Thompson in seventh, Ashton Schleiss in eighth, Derek Paulson ninth, and Mike Montesi rounds out the top 10.
John Johnson, Mark Arthur, Jay Graves Jr. are 11th through 13th, Tyler Dugan's worked his way up to 14th. Michael Cozy Jr. up to 15th after getting by Fred Thompson and David Neitzel. Matt Ridgway a lap down as an 18th as the Lucky Dog driver. Jason Taylor's way behind him with Jason Anderson. All those drivers 1 lap down. McRae and Collins around with Sonny Thompson. Round out the drivers. Collins and Thompson done for the day.
And that's been a look at your iRacing Midway race break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, visit iRacing.com to sign up today. So Spencer Preet in the man in control for much as we got contact. Rick Thompson and Steve Ritter around off of turn 2. That'll bring the yellow flag out here with 90 laps to go. 2 more cars go around down the back straightaway.
And I could see that kind of building towards that way. Wash again had that epic dive bomb we've seen from him to get by Ritter. Thing is, though, Ritter tried to go for a crossover. Problem is, Thompson was right there, right to his left rear quarter panel, not expecting to see an orange car come across his front bumper. That, of course, sent both of them down the racetrack to draw this caution flag. Both of them avoiding significant damage. Both of them, I believe as well, are going to stay on the lead lap, but it's just a case of not enough space and not enough spatial awareness for the job done there.
Yeah, absolutely right. It was the right idea to try the crossover if Rick Thompson wasn't there. Unfortunately, that U.S. Air Force Ford Mustang was there, and certainly not expecting that bold of a move from Ritter. And around they go. No worse for the wear. They'll get back engaged with the rest of this field. Ritter will fall to the back. I think Rick Thompson will hold on to about that 7th position right in front of Derek Paulson. So a little bit rough and tumble there, but that's okay. Puts us under the yellow flag one more time. And you keep getting these. We're getting a little bit longer runs than what we were seeing in the first half of the race, Justin. And as a race car driver, you get those runs and they get broken by a yellow flag. It really breaks the rhythm. It's hard to develop a rhythm, especially at a rhythm-based track like Irwindale. How do you compensate for that from behind the wheel?
You basically say, if you're at the front, thank goodness I'm at the front, to make sure I'm not involved in these kind of situations. But to answer your question in terms of the rhythm, it's hard. It's very hard. It's very hard. I think there really isn't a rhythm for the drivers other than making sure you hit the same lines you've been running all race long and making sure you don't make mistakes to get yourself back into the hornet's nest, essentially, on the racetrack. You can keep it up to the front. I think you'll be okay. If your driver's in the back, you're basically hoping that either something happens in front or you keep the car clean and you don't destroy it the rest of the way at this kind of a point to not have this kind of a situation.
Not much you can do from the driver's seat when everyone around you keeps wrecking, but nonetheless, they will keep teeing up on the board. Michael Cozy Jr., another trip down pit road to repair more damage to his 99 as he finds himself somewhere around the 14th position right now, I believe. I think these caution periods are going to help him ultimately. He can make a few passes here and there, get another yellow flag, and have everyone come back to him, but it also gives him the opportunity, as he's doing once more, to come down pit road and keep effecting repairs to his race car, which is ultimately going to make it faster.
Yeah, people have, of course, with these short tracks, you have to kind of do that, but the problem is it's like in 30-second chunks. It's going to be where it's like very minimal times of repairs. If you, say, have 6 minutes of damage repair, you're going to basically have to hope you get 10 cautions or something around that range to get a clean race car. So you kind of can't bank on it if you don't have that track position to get all the damage done in one go, because that's how you get 4, 5, 6 laps down on the circuit as Spencer Preet takes the outside line for this restart.
Should be lights out next time by while we're under this yellow flag. Talking about laps down and gaps between drivers. That's all thanks to our friends over at Joel Real Timing. To remind you that coverage of the SESRA series is brought to you by Joel Real Timing, the official timing software of LSRTV. Whether you spend your time on the sim behind the wheel, on the pit box, or on the spotter stand, JRT is the go-to software for iRacing timing and scoring analytics. Get yourself a basic download for free or get the pro version today at joel-real-timing.com as Spencer Preet brings the field into the restart zone one more time. His teammate Kyle Vincent Gilbert down there on the bottom. Preet up top. Green flag back in the air. And Preet gives himself a nice clean getaway.
Yeah, had a good start. Good launch on the high side. Vincent Gilbert not so much on the bottom side. And Ward's still trying to fight as hard as he can. But look who's up at the front now. In one of his highest runs so far of the day. Taylor Butcher Benjamin up to 4th spot after starting 21st. As one of those drivers that didn't record a qualifying time. So he's been able to work his way through the messes, keep the car completely clean, which is very rare at this kind. Now is in a position to potentially fight for a victory if he can time this up in a way that keeps the car going.
Number 8, one of the few cars on the track that doesn't have damage to it that I can tell. And you talk about Taylor Butcher Benjamin, had himself a really nice segment for the Midwest Regional. Didn't always get the best finishes, but really gave some great accounts for himself. Places like Iowa and Kansas had some really solid runs, some surprisingly strong runs. Didn't necessarily always have the luck to follow, but gave a great run through those middle stages of the schedule, and now finds himself up into the 4th position as they run right now, coming to complete lap 122. So a nice job for him, and following the likes of Jeff Ward, that's never a bad thing to do, to take notes from that guy.
Yeah, it's definitely not a bad thing to do whatsoever. Now it's the difficulty of trying to follow said notes, because Ward's pulled 7th of that time back. In fact, everyone ran in the 17.6s last time by, with Ward running the most different line out of all of them, going to the bottom through 1 and 2 to try and change things up and see if he can pull away from Vincent Gilbert. And that, in turn, has been able to help him set up for that bottom run. Or Butcher Benjamin, though, showing that that top side, though, is still the place to be. Still in the 17.6s last time by, thanks to our friends at JRT for the help.
Absolutely, a nice job. If Benjamin can keep himself up there, and I think he's saving a good amount of tires by doing that, as Ward will join him up on the tie side. So a little bit of a give up here, but the payoff in the long run, JP, could be that he's going to have fresher tires to use to track those guys down and ultimately make that pass, which will probably have to be on the bottom side.
And I've seen this play out in a couple different series before in various different networks. The best drivers at the end are the ones who save their tires for the final 20, 15 so laps. The drivers that fell off by the end of the race are the ones that were going all out, sending the fastest laps, and they're burning up their equipment at this kind of portion of the race. So that is the great strategy. If you can't drive by someone, why burn up your equipment trying to go side by side for about 10 straight laps? Why not just fall on behind, wait for him to fall off, and then get the job done? We've seen that happen with people letting them by. We're seeing it happen now with him staying behind.
Just being very patient. And that P word has been, well, the only P word that we've been talking about is Preet out front. He's been doing a nice job as he completes lap 129 now. It's got his teammate there behind him doing a nice job holding serve in that 2nd position of Kyle Vincent Gilbert, Jeff Ward there in 3rd. I think we might be into the stages now, Justin, where guys are settling down, they're logging laps, knowing coming up to 70 laps to go. Still a long way to get it done, to get back to that checkered flag. Don't have to get it all right now, just race each other, race the track a little bit as well, but get to the end. We might be in one of those long green flag runs.
Are you sure you want to say that?
I know. As soon as I said it, I thought better of it, but it's out there. I put it out there.
And just on cue, there goes Derek Paulson. Right as you said that, he just got door banged and then ended up just losing control. Nearly brought out the caution after getting a love tap on the left side from the 24 machine.
So the curse is halfway there. We stay under green, but more bad news for Derek Paulson. He's had a very challenging night here at Irwindale. Started off the wrong way with contact very early in this race, being sent around, and had a few more trips into a few more incidents as well. So for the driver, the number 5, not a race to remember here, particularly when he has a lot at stake when it comes to the point standings for Derek Paulson. Does have a say in what's going on there. Finds himself in the 3rd position in the point standings, 50 points back from his teammate Jeff Ward, and only 19 points back from Spencer Preet. So he needs that luck to turn around if he's going to make a run at Preet for at least 2nd.
And the way it's running, he's going to need to keep everything off the walls and off the other cars. I don't know if it's going to work, but look who's all over the back bumper of Preet. Kyle Vincent Gilbert. He's picked up the pace even more so, even out the time. And now he's trying to poke his way to the outside, knowing that Preet's been using that bottom and is sending it deep every corner, with Ward trying to dig in as well.
You want to talk about a guy going faster. Jeff Ward, for the past couple laps, has run 0.2 of a second faster, as the yellow flag will fly one more time, which will negate that great battle. I think that's the 16 of Steve Ritter spun around on the front straightaway right in front of the leaders.
And it looks like he got some help this time from Michael Cozy Jr., who's been getting repairs off and on throughout this entire race tonight. Just the case where Ritter came down. Cozy Jr. not backing off. Ends up turning him. This is where those comments that he had said for the past few weeks prior to this were. And it's kind of the point where I'm not sure what Ritter was trying to do there. He basically tried to squeeze him on down the racetrack, and at this point, I don't think he should be surprised with the issues, as Cozy Jr. has hit the end of the pit entrance wall.
I just saw that as well, and true to his word, Cozy Jr. not backing down from anyone that he deems to be in his way or slowing him down on the track as he spins the 16 around, but trying to get back to pit road. Well, he's taking issue with the entrance to pit road. The water barrels there as well, as he gives them a little bit of a kiss en route to coming down pit road. So just a tough night overall for Michael Cozy Jr. and more of what he's experienced throughout much of this season. Certainly not the strength of the run that we've seen from him. He did start up front, ran up front until he got turned around by his teammate Kyle Vincent Gilbert. Nothing of his own doing, but since then it's been a long recovery drive and finds himself still mired back in 16th position. So it may not be the night that Michael Cozy Jr. was looking for. He might have to wait until we go to Phoenix next week to try and find his first win.
Yeah, I think I can kiss the chance of Cozy Jr. getting a first win goodbye. And a few drivers, different strategies now. Dugan's up to 4th now all of a sudden. Kyle Vincent Gilbert getting jumped by Taylor Butcher Benjamin in the pits, and all of a sudden, everything's all mixed up. I think everyone just basically had to just take a splash of fuel. The fuel cycle is about 145 to 170 projected. I'm surprised to see as many cars as we've seen down here all of a sudden.
I'm taking a look at the replay, and I saw full service being performed on all of our leaders. So perhaps the administrative staff made a change to allow an extra set of tires for these guys.
That's the only thing I can think of, because there were discussions during one of the cautions about 30-40 laps ago from race control, and getting clarifications and needing, and I wasn't sure if that was what was being said in that specifically, but I believe that might have been a potential possibility, because I don't think they envisioned this many cautions potentially in this kind of a race, and how much fall off would be, because we mentioned there's the risk of going down to 36% after 90-100 laps on the track. That is the data coming from Ashton Swish's car during preparation. That's in blowout tire territory. If you blow your right front tire and you have a majority of the field in that same range, everyone's going to blow a right front tire. And then when you have everyone blow a right front tire, it becomes a flustercluck of a race, to take a words out of Cozy Jr.'s mouth. I don't think SESRA wants to see that happen, and I think that might be a good move if that is indeed the situation.
Well, the interesting thing to note here, Spencer Preet, Mike Montesi, Taylor Butcher Benjamin, Matt Ridgway, the 3 drivers who did not pit there. So Spencer Preet electing for a different strategy than the rest of the field. Now finds himself with 66-lap old tires, holding off guys who just pitted. Green flag back in the air. Preet down and away. Montesi struggling in the outside lane. These guys that just pitted are going to have to be very careful working through. But look at Kyle Vincent Gilbert underneath the white line onto the apron, getting around Ridgway. He'll get up into that second spot, fighting for that position with Mike Montesi. Montesi on old tires. KVG going to the front.
And it's 3 wide. Look who's in that middle of the 3 wide. Matt Ridgway, who stayed out on that caution. It's not as a dramatic difference on tires, however, it's a dramatic difference in terms of the pace we've seen from some of the drivers. He's in the midst of it being a sitting duck as Taylor Butcher Benjamin nearly chopped off his right rear quarter panel.
Big scramble here in this group of cars. Keep an eye on the lead as well. Here comes Kyle Vincent Gilbert looking around to try and get around. Spencer Preet still not able to make that move, as Jeff Ward is absolutely boxed in behind some of these slower cars on these older tires. Ward will now point it to the bottom to try and give himself some breathing room as they work past the 13 of Ridgway. Ashton Schleiss in the 19 there as well. He's up into the 5th position as they're side-by-side for 3rd in front of him. No change up front.
No change for now, but it looks like Gilbert wants to go. Nearly got towards the back bumper, and he's going to send it in deep here. Nearly making contact. Good effort to not make the contact, but Gilbert wants to go, but he's got to make sure he doesn't cook those right fronts. And left front, rather, too, locking the car up.
Nearly 62 lap differential on tires between those 2 drivers, and somehow Preet is able to hold off Kyle Vincent Gilbert still for the time being. That tells you how important that lane is. If you can get to the right lane, the older tires really are not that big of a hindrance, as new tires are really struggling. I'm surprised it's taken this long for Kyle Vincent Gilbert to get around the double O.
The difference is, it was what? A difference of 50 laps or so? Yeah, that's a major difference, say, on tires, but the thing is, Preet's been not really lighting them up, so to speak. We haven't had that many green flag laps either. Last time by, they were dead even in lap time. That's going to be difficult to pass when you're nearly dead even, but Gilbert playing a very dangerous game, playing pokety-poke to try and get this job done. He needs to time this up in a patient and right way, or else you're going to have Ryan Wash or Jeff Ward zoom on by you in about 20 laps after this.
At the 3/4 mark distance now, lap 150 complete. 50 more laps to go to settle this thing out for the Ballroom Blitz 200 here for the Dr. Squatch Pro Series presented by SESRA. Jeff Ward back in fourth, has cleared all those other cars that had stayed out. So now he has just Ryan Wash between himself and the 2 cars out front of Preet and Vincent Gilbert. And again, Preet holding on to the lead. He's going to have to be pushing his equipment harder than he has this entire race to try and keep the lead away from Kyle Vincent Gilbert.
And the more they try and go near side by side or push, the more Ryan Wash actually closes on in because he's got clean space and doesn't have to worry about someone trying to get to your inside every corner entrance and exit. If this keeps up, this might play into Ryan Wash's hands, and even then behind that, Jeff Ward's hands. If something was to happen, Gilbert just can't get right to the bright spot. He knows how to pass him, he just can't get the exit.
The more interesting thing is I'm looking at these lap times. Jeff Ward is not necessarily faster than the leaders right now, despite having fresher tires. Spencer Preet is finding great pace with those now 80-lap-old tires versus guys who are only got 15 or 16 laps. But look at
look at it!
Way down low! He'll save it with a huge drift. He will fall back to the 3rd position. A huge move there for the driver of the 227, but ultimately cost him 2nd place.
Try to take something out of Ryan Wash's book, essentially, where he dived down low a few times. The problem is, Kyle Vincent Gilbert, I think with his brake bias, just doesn't have the right bias to go to that inside line to make it stick. Preet's, I think, lucky, though, that he didn't get turned from that. And now, Preet's going to have the chance to relax, save his tires off, as Ryan Wash now tries to push back up to him.
Yeah, that's huge for Preet now. No pressure. He can just back the pace down a little bit and save. As that slip up by Kyle Vincent Gilbert was an absolute benefit for the double O. Ryan Wash there with an opportunity to take advantage and did. That was so close to wiping out Spencer Preet. That was very, very close quarters. I'm surprised they didn't make contact. I was preparing to call that one out, but nonetheless, we continue on as KVG falls back to 3rd, but he's got to have hurt the tires a little bit with that massive slide.
He's got to have shot the tires, if you really think about it, as the caution comes out, and I think it's in the spot where I thought this might be. Derek Paulson knocks sideways on the track, and this was where exactly it was. As that was all going on, Michael Cozy Jr., the 0-1, a bunch of drivers we talked about, they're going 2-3 wide for about 8th spot. Derek Paulson, though, checking up for Montesi, got turned by Cozy Jr., getting a little bit of a love tap, and that brings us back under caution all of a sudden here, David. All of a sudden, with 40 laps to go.
And just an accordion effect as Paulson lifted out of the throttle just so slightly to not run to the back of Mike Montesi. Cozy Jr. right there goes into the back of the number 5, who clips the 8 of Taylor Butcher Benjamin as well. And Butcher Benjamin, long, lazy slide down the back straightaway, locks him up. Doesn't hit anything, so he'll keep the number 8 clean, but one of those accordion effects as well that we've seen. But Spencer Preet will take this time to come down pit road and get his 2nd set of tires. That is going to be a huge advantage for him.
Absolutely going to be a huge advantage. They ran a very long green flag run, with the longest of the night. And while he's going to have to hope that he keeps himself clean and not bounce off cars, the thing is, if he gets up there cleanly and quickly at the pace he's been running, he could probably be up in the lead in the final few laps, and or, if say there's a bunch of accordion effects, be up there even quicker for say a 15 or 10 lap shootout. This plays right into his hands, Montesi's hands, and a few other drivers' hands if they can play this right and not get involved in a big one.
Well, we've seen Spencer Preet be a fan of doing differing strategies from that of Jeff Ward all season long. And he's been true to that mentality here tonight, as well, as he will be on the fresh rubber, fall back to somewhere around the 14th position or so for the restart. But he's going to have just under 40 laps to get back up to the front. And he's his own case study, I think you could say, because he was able to hold off Kyle Vincent Gilbert, who had 60-lap fresher tires. So will having 20-lap fresher tires now, in his case, be enough for him to get through all these cars?
I think with a driver like him, it might be. The thing is, though, everything's been thrown out the window tonight with the way the drivers have been driving, the way the incidents have been happening on a track that you never really see in real life for these types of race cars. And everything you expect to see, I think, is completely out the window. Anything can happen the rest of this way. The question is, who's going to be the one taking the checker flag by the end of this crazy race?
We're about to find out who's going to take this next restart. It's going to be Ryan Wash and Kyle Vincent Gilbert on the front row. To get down to the restart zone. Green flag back in the air. Ryan Wash down and away in the number 1. First time he's been clear and away out front, but big lunge down into 1 and 2. The slide job coming up the hill. Kyle Vincent Gilbert. Wash goes back to the outside. Here comes Jeff Ward as well.
And this is going to be dangerous here. 3 wide has not worked out well at this track. They luckily get out of the 3 wide, but Kyle Vincent Gilbert saw the chance, just couldn't make it stick. Now he's got to hope that he finds some way to force Washington a mistake to try and clear him at this point. But look who's in the back there. Ashton Swiss and Michael Cozy Jr. up to the highest they've been in a long time in this race.
A long way coming for Michael Cozy Jr. Oh, Ryan Wash is around in 1-2. He'll collect Jeff Ward and Ashton Slice as well. Caution flag will fly. That's got some serious implications, especially with your points leader involved in Jeff Ward.
And that might be what Spencer Preet's been waiting for the points battle. That is the incident that might help him try and gain himself a chance to win this title. For the incident, though, it was just the case where getting close together, door banging one another, and the car just swings around. Nowhere for Ward to go, nowhere for everyone else to go as he goes down the racetrack with the way the banking is. And again, the bad luck charm that whatever Wash has continues to strike whenever he's been having good runs, it seems, or has a chance for the race lead.
Yeah, just very close proximity between he and Kyle Vincent Gilbert. And around goes the 1 in front of the field, goes back up the track, collects Jeff Ward, Ashton Schleiss. The 24 of John Johnson, the 12 of Mark Arthur caught a piece of that as well. But it looks like Michael Cozy Jr. was able to evade that wreck really nicely. You see him drive through there on the bottom side. He'll get up to the 3rd position, I believe. But looking how this thing shakes out, drivers getting their positions back. Jeff Ward currently scored in the 2nd place, so possibly disaster averted for the driver, the number 9.
I don't even know what to say at this point with this, but I'm not quite surprised with Cozy Jr. because all it would take was having the right strategy and help and keeping, not adding any more damage. That's where he's now in that kind of situation where he can try and win with a battered race car. The problem is, you still have drivers with fresher tires behind you. You have Spencer Preet, his teammate, behind him. You have Tyler Dugan, who's been a heck of a driver throughout the race, going to start on that outside line. Anything can happen at this point once more. Anybody can have the stronger run. It's the question of who's going to take advantage of what happens on that front row.
A good call on Tyler Dugan, back up to that 6th position, so he'll line up outside row number 3 on the restart. Nice recovery for him as well. Ran up front, was high as a 2nd, and was challenging for the lead before he got caught up in an incident. Fell way back in the field, but now, like Michael Cozy Jr., who will share that 3rd row with for the restart, both of those guys, nice recovery drives to get back up into the top 6 here, and they're not done with it as we're now inside of 30 laps to go. But for Ryan Wash, yeah, you touched on it, the bad luck for the driver, the number 1, who very strong here tonight and was in a position to be challenging for that lead. No longer going to be the case as he finds himself back in 17th, erased from the lead there. Really unfortunate.
Yeah, he had a strong run once more tonight, but now he's in the case where he has to take, of course, the wave around first off, but second, the most I think he can hope for is maybe a top 10 at this point if he stays out of trouble. And again, another potential win thrown out the window where he could have been contending, could have came away with the checker flag. But it's not about the coulda, woulda, shoulda. It's about how do you try and get out of this funk, essentially. How do you make sure you get things back going? Some of the tracks coming up might be the case to try and break the spell, as we'll have the restart with a broken and beaten Jeff Ward on the inside.
Kyle Vincent Gilbert will be the man in charge of the restart here. Jeff Ward to his inside, down to the restart zone they go. Green flag back in the air here on lap 173. So getting down to the nitty-gritty of this event. KVG
and here we
down
go.
In there. Oh,
and Matt Ridgway's gone. Matt Ridgway seen this come in right as he entered the corner. Just ended up trying to send it into the bottom. Didn't notice there was a car underneath in Mark Arthur. And that sends him around and ends up collecting a second driver in the incident as well. And we're back under caution once more. That's going to burn another 3, 4, 5 laps. And mean even less time for Preet to work with. Although, he did move up to 6 with that incident.
The other car involved in that incident was the 86 Jay Graves Jr. Nowhere to go as the Beer Lab machine slid back up the racetrack. And for Jay Graves, he had a good run going earlier, was up inside the top 5, now finds himself mired back at about the 16th position. For Ridgway, his challenging night continues as well, as Mark Arthur was there, nothing he could do, mind his own business, and well, that's the result that you get, is we're now inside of 25 laps to go.
Indeed we are, and we do have an official clarification for the second set of tires, it appears. Right after qualifying in that driver's meeting we were discussing, it was during one of the points, it appears, that in the late portions of the meeting, they told drivers, oh, hey, you can have a second set of tires. That is indeed the case, and why we've seen these different strategies all of a sudden. And again, makes more sense to why force drivers to nearly blow out the right front tires in this kind of a race. That's the clarification from that officially coming in, apparently now at the late portions of this race, of course, and why we've seen so many different varying strategies in this Ballroom Blitz of a race, once more.
A very appropriate race name for a very appropriate race. I suppose the two are perfectly married, and perhaps a little bit of foresight when they came to naming the races on the schedule, coming here to the short track out in California. You know, Justin, I live out here on the West Coast myself in Arizona, and Irwindale comes up in conversation just next door in California. This track has been, they've tried to turn this thing into a mall so many times, and it seemingly just keeps surviving, It kind of reminds me of the driver I see in 4th place, Tyler Dugan, who, despite all the attempts to knock him down here tonight, just keeps surviving as well, and will now line up on the outside of row number 2 for this restart.
I like the way you put it, but it's about staying alive once more. He does have some damage. That was with contact with Cozy Jr. after a yellow flag. However, of course, they apologized quickly. However, I think at this point, he can pass by Rick Thompson. I think he can pass by, I don't know if he can pass by Kyle Vincent Gilbert. He might need some more time. The big test, though, is Jeff Ward, because he was able to get by him once after being let by. Question is, can he do it a second time when there's so much more on the line with a restart that's going to come up with 20 laps to go when they get back green, just under that mark?
Not a lot of time left to get something done here. If they are going to make it happen, lights do go out atop the pace car, so let's take a look at the top 10 for this restart. It's Kyle Vincent Gilbert, and a new player in second, Rick Thompson in the 29 will be on the front row, along with Dugan and Ward in row 2, Preet and Schleiss row 3, Mark Arthur Cozy Jr. row 4, Taylor Butcher Benjamin, David Neitzel in row number 5. So pace car will head down pit road. It'll be 20 laps to go when we do get this restart. Kyle Vincent Gilbert, the man in control when they get into the restart zone. See if we can get another good launch and see how aggressive Rick Thompson gets. Green flag back in the air. Thompson not the cleanest of getaways. Jeff Ward right there pushing him along down the front straightaway. Ford horsepower hooked up together, but all that did was allow Kyle Vincent Gilbert to get away.
Vincent Gilbert timed that up well. Actually, it was a bit later, and we have more calamity. Derek Paulson around again.
Rough night continues for the driver, the number 5 out of Loud Pedal Motorsports. Derek Paulson in the number 5. His woes will rage on here. This will be a race that he will want to put out of his memory banks as soon as possible. Looks like he got help from behind from the number 1 of Ryan Wash. Just gets turned around as they got to the middle portion of turn 2. So for Paulson, another spin cycle, but he'll get fired back up and continue on.
Another racing deal essentially on the track, and Just nothing else you can really do with that contact from behind with the spin. So just got to try and keep on trucking, keep on moving. But again, Rick Thompson will stay second, but Tyler Dugan with all of that going on, moved up to third spot and got by Jeff Ward.
Yeah, Dugan up to the third position, so able to swap on the restart there as Ward got trapped behind Rick Thompson.
I think if we can go there, too, with the replay, too, you'll see Spencer Preet nearly made it 3 wide at the time of the caution, was dive bombing and sliding on the apron once that caution came out, trying to get scored ahead of Ward and Dugan there. So we nearly had Preet move up to the top 3 and make a pass on 2 cars all the way at the bottom of the racetrack as that was going on.
A smart heads-up move by Spencer Preet, and he's got those fresher tires. Remember, he's got half as many laps on his tires than the 4 drivers in front of him, so why not sling it down to the bottom, go onto the apron, and try and pick up some spots the cheeky way, as they would say. If Rachel was here, I think that would be her phrase. But, yeah, use those tires. You can't take them with you, and you only got, well, now going to be 15 laps to go next time by. Might as well get all the good out of them that you can for Spencer Preet. Definitely in a good position. Currently scored in 5th. Will be on the bottom lane. My concern, we saw there the inside lane absolutely bottlenosed by Rick Thompson, the 29, who didn't get a clean getaway. So for Dugan, he might have picked up the spot from Ward, but he will start behind Rick Thompson as well if Kyle Vincent Gilbert chooses the top.
The thing is, though, you have to remember, Preet was one of the few drivers, if not the only driver, to actually be good on the bottom throughout the night. That might be actually a positive. The thing is, can he get the job done with the cars in front? I think he's going to try and do an air dive bomb like we just seen going to the corner at the time of the caution flag. That is a given at this point. The thing is, can he get it done and get by all the other cars and get to the front without running out of laps with Kyle Vincent Gilbert and Rick Thompson up there on that front row, having the freshest tires on this racetrack?
We've seen fresh tires not necessarily be the biggest deal, as Spencer Preet was able to hold off Kyle Vincent Gilbert with about 62 lap older tires. Lights will go out atop the pace car. We'll get ready for this next restart. We'll take a look at the front runners. It is Kyle Vincent Gilbert, Rick Thompson once again on the front row, Dugan and Ward, Preet and Schleiss, Cozy Jr. and Arthur, Anderson and Neitzel make up the top 10. Pace car heads down back to pit road. Kyle Vincent Gilbert in control here. Rick Thompson going to need to get a better restart to not check up that inside line. How aggressive will Spencer Preet get on those fresher tires? Green flag back in the air. Much better start out of the driver of the 29. Rick Thompson right there with him. Here comes Preet all the way down to the yellow line.
And that's going to be that move we expected. Just couldn't get to where he needs to as we get a car turn in the back. It's the 17 getting spun around on the backstretch.
That was unbelievable because the racing that was about to break out between Thompson, Dugan, and Ward, they were 3 wide at the time of the yellow flag, and perhaps another move, knowing a car had spun to try and get some spots. Thompson will hold on to the second position, as you said, the 17 of David Neitzel, who was 10th on the restart. He goes around and will fall back to about the 18th position.
And another situation where it's near the end of the race. You're not going to get a lot of give and take. That time, Montesi basically sent it down the same way Preet did. In fact, followed Preet. Thing is, Preet got out of the gas better. Montesi ended up just coming up into the 17, washed up the track whilst the 17 was having a lower line, and that spun him around. Race control has just said, please stop doing it and drifting up into other race cars.
It is still considered the racing surface, but you have to be very nice to your competitors. It's like cutting the front stretch at Chicago or Kansas. You can go down onto the apron, or even at Las Vegas too. You can go down onto the apron, but when you rejoin the true racing surface, you got to be respectful of the drivers who elected to stay up there, and you got to be mindful of that. In that case, Mike Montesi just kind of misjudged it a little bit in that 7 and spun Neitzel around. Unfortunate for Neitzel, had a great run going inside the top 10. He's under 10 laps to go at this point and back in 18th, so a good run gone bad for him.
And all it takes, though, is more calamity, and that's kind of the way it's trended. However, with this Canary caution, Fred Thompson is now in position to gain some spots. He was a few laps down. We've had so many cautions the past few laps, rather. He's got enough lucky dogs to get onto the lead lap for these final 10 laps. after being about 3-4 laps down just 20 laps ago.
A nice recovery there as well. As anything's possible. And talk about the driver, the 99, Michael Cozy Jr. there in 7th position on the inside lane for this restart. Running out of time, absolutely. We're under 10 laps to go at this point, but you got to wonder if you're Rick Thompson, who got a great restart last time, or if you're Tyler Dugan, knowing that the possibility or the likelihood of another yellow flag coming out quickly is pretty high at this point. You got to make that move and just put yourself ahead of the driver. You don't even have to complete the pass. Just be ahead of that other driver by the time that caution flag flies. That position will be yours. Perhaps that'll be the key to the victory here tonight.
I think it could be, exactly. We've had 8 yellows to be exact, actually. And this, based on the way they're falling on the pace car and the amount of times left, this might be the last restart, potentially, of this race. So it's going to just take one driver in your ear saying, check up, wrecking, to where you send it in deep and hope that you get ahead in front of the scoring loops to get the victory. That could be the difference tonight. All it takes, though, is one calamity incident. We could still see these drivers go green as we head to 1 to go.
Likely going to be the final restart of the event. It's going to be Kyle Vincent Gilbert, the man in control, one more time. Rick Thompson to his inside, looking to find a career-best finish here tonight at Irwindale if he can cap this thing off. Dugan and Ward in row 2, Schleiss, Preet row 3, Arthur, Cozy Jr. row 4, Montesi and Anderson row 5. Field works down into the restart zone. Kyle Vincent Gilbert will bring him there slowly, looking for the green flag. There it is, back underway. It's going to be 6 laps to go as Thompson's right there. Here comes Jeff Ward, shoots up to the top side, contact. KVG is around in front of Jeff Ward. Rick Thompson's through, along with Dugan and Preet.
And there comes the caution, Cozy Jr. coming around, and it's the big one down the backstretch. This is a fitting end to this race.
This is huge. Kyle Vincent Gilbert absolutely destroyed Rick Thompson in turns 3 and 4 to show his displeasure, but Thompson's going to hold on to it, and I think he's going to work himself into a win here tonight.
I don't know what to say. I'm going to look back at this myself here because it's like, I think at this point they were side by side, just door banging each other as Gilbert tried to come down on a lower line. Everything else basically stacked up. Cozy Jr. not giving space, came on down. Calamity ensued on the back. And the reason we seen Vincent Gilbert show his displeasure, of course, was he thought that he should have gave the space. The thing is, you're racing for the race win. There's not going to be a lot of give and take at that point of the race. And Rick Thompson just somehow just won this race. Unbelievable.
I believe that could be the end of it. I think we're at the point of no return as we start lap 198. But for Rick Thompson, right place, right time. And, you know, I'll say this. For Kyle Vincent Gilbert, I understand the emotion. I understand the frustration. But you can't have that short of a memory when you forget that you indeed wrecked your own teammate, Michael Cozy Jr., up front earlier in this event. So you live by the sword, you die by the sword, I guess, is the situation there. And if you're going to finish a guy off, like we saw in the replays, you better make sure you terminally end his race. For Rick Thompson, engine's still running, and he's going to get to the checkered flag.
I mean, you're not wrong. That's a very, very bad way to think about it if you're a driver. That's the thing. Kyle Vincent Gilbert disqualified for obvious reasons, but at that point, it's just a racing deal, I think. Just that you cannot lose your control like that at this point, but a Thompson, Rick Thompson, who's shown talent in various different series on various different networks, finally gets a checker flag here in the SESRA series. My goodness.
Talk about Rick Thompson in the 29, right place, right time. Came into tonight 17th in the point standings. I'm not sure he's had a top 10 year yet in 2019. But now as the white flag is out over this field, somehow, some way, he will survive the chaos of the short track here at Irwindale in a very appropriately named Ballroom Blitz 200. As he will work down the back straightaway for the final time and survive an onslaught of cars, an onslaught of restarts, and a diamond in the rough out here in California. Rick Thompson will come off of turn 4, see the checkered flag, and win the Ballroom Blitz 200. Just
a fitting end. All I can tell you. Just a fitting end to this kind of a race. And a heck of a win, too, in a wild finish. Wild finishing order on top of that. My goodness. All I can tell you. My goodness.
Not a whole lot that can be said, and he gets some congratulations from the likes of Jeff Ward and Spencer Preet. They know how big it is for a driver like Rick Thompson to get himself a win here at this track, what he survived, and made a great restart. We'll come back on the other side of the commercial break to recap all of it, give you the final running order as well, and talk to your winner along with the rest of the top three. You're watching coverage of the Dr. Squatch Pro Series presented by SESRA right here on LSRTV.
During the First World War, big soap started taking out all the natural ingredients to make production cheaper and faster. And they replaced all the natural stuff with chemicals. Chemicals like sodium lauryl sulfate, parabens, and dioxane. Chemicals linked to depression, liver damage, cancer, and low sperm count. And worst of all, dry skin. Oh. Your poor balls, all dry, empty, and sad. Click the link for Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. Real soap for real men. We make our soaps with natural ingredients from the earth. Ingredients like oils, plants, goat's milk, Greek yogurt, oatmeal, shea butter, and citrus. No. Turn your shower game up to 11 with the smooth lather of gold moss or the exfoliating woodsy bliss that is pine tar. Get ready to step out of the shower feeling alive. Click the link for Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. Real soap for real men.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of LSRTV and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Live Sim Racing LLC and iRacing.com Motorsport Simulations. LSRTV would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.
Welcome back to the Irwindale Speedway. The Ballroom Blitz 200 is in the books, and what a blitz it was. A lot of chaos, beating and banging, emotions coming out in the closing stages. But the checker flag has fallen, and has fallen over the 29 of Rick Thompson. Let's take a look at your unofficial race results here from Irwindale. Rick Thompson survives, gets his first win of the 2019 season. Jeff Ward comes home in second. Tyler Dugan, the rookie, comes home in the third position. Ashton Schleiss in fourth. Mark Arthur fifth. Jason Taylor in sixth. Matt Ridgway seventh. Jay Graves Jr. eighth. Mike Montesi in ninth. And Fred Thompson rounds out the top 10.
Now, you may be wondering what happened to Peyton Cozy Jr. with those top 10 results. Well, the issue is they passed the pace car after the checker flag waved. That is something that can happen. And both of them were placed unofficially 11th and 12th. We will see how their cycle with the official results throughout the week. For Ryan Wash, he came out as the first car a lap down with Derek Paulson, David Neitzel, and Taylor Butcher Benjamin falling behind them. Jason Anderson rounds out the top 17 with Kyle Vincent Gilbert, disqualified after trying to intentionally destroy Thompson's car after the contact on the final restart. He finished 6 laps down. Then you have the drivers that had the worst of luck throughout the day. Brian McRae, 23 laps down after being involved in one of the first cautions. John Johnson, 31 laps down. And your DNFs for the night: Steve Ritter, Sonny Thompson, and Brad Collins.
Let's look at your 23 car unofficial results. These are subject to change based off of what may have happened to Preet and Cozy Jr. So we'll touch on that when we come back on the airwaves next week. But without any further ado, let's talk to a first-time winner here in the Dr. Squatch Pro Series presented by SESRA. That is the driver of the number 29. And Rick Thompson, you are a winner. How in the world did you do it?
Trust me, I have no clue. I'm sure it was quite the show for you guys up there in the booth. But yeah, it was definitely, I mean, trust me, I'm excited. I'm happy about the win. I hate winning like that with a wreck on the last lap with Kyle. I know he had been up there the whole time. But, I mean, it doesn't mean I'm not excited and happy about getting this win. I mean, it was hard racing at the end there, you know.
From what we could see, and yes, this was a very exciting race for us to watch up here in the booth as well. A lot of beating and banging, but from what we could see, it looked like you held your line perfectly fine. A little bit of contact initiated, but you got through cleanly and were able to hold on there. With all those late race restarts, what was going through your mind? Because it looked like you had one bad one, and then you learned from it, and each subsequent restart, you were right there with Kyle Vincent Gilbert each and every time, right at his door.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I hadn't been up there at the front, so that very first one, I kind of got caught sleeping at the wheel there, and I was like, oh, okay. So I got lucky because one of the yellows came out and kept me in second. And the next 2 restarts after that, I was like, all right, I'm not going to get caught like that again. And so I got a lot better start on the last 2. And yeah, the last restart was my best restart on it. So I think I had a really good jump on him on that one.
You certainly picked the right one to get the best restart of the night, and in total, end up leading 6 laps, coming from an 8th starting position to get your first win. What does it mean to you to come out here in this series knowing some of the names who have 6 wins like Jeff Ward or Spencer Preet and get your own win for yourself?
Oh man, it means everything. I know the competition here in SESRA is like second to none. I mean, we got some really fast guys. I got a lot of respect for Jeff and Spencer and Kyle, all those guys in there. I have so much respect for all of them. They're so fast every week, and so hard to get any positions that you can get out here on a weekly basis. And so for us to get this win today, I mean, it's just this is my Daytona 500 for winning this, because I mean, there's no way I can top this for this season.
I have a smile on my face. I'm not going to lie. It is good to see a fresh face in victory lane, somebody endure A very challenging night here at Irwindale. A lot of caution flags, a lot of wrecking as well. But in the end, you survived. So, Rick, I'll put it to you to say hello to friends, family, sponsors, and everyone else who helps you. And that number 29, go to victory lane.
Yeah, I just want to thank my teammates. My dad, Fred Thompson, he's out here. He's 73 years old and out here racing with me. Makes it fun for me. And my best friend Brad, he got wrecked a little bit early on in the race and had a little trouble early on, which was unfortunate for him. But he's going to be kicking himself that he didn't stick around and get to watch the rest of this. But I definitely appreciate his help and his support as well for the whole thing. So, but yeah, great team effort by all of us. We were talking through the whole thing, and I appreciate that, man. And I appreciate you guys as well in the booth up here doing your job, and you guys do such a great broadcast every single week. And then of course SESRA for putting it on, James and all them up there. They do such a Jason and all them. They do such a good job with them. I'm like shaking over here. Trust me, I did not expect to be here tonight. Trust me.
That's the beauty of a first-time win, all the excitement, the raw emotion there, and Rick Thompson Racing runs in the family with you and your dad here, but tonight you get to go to Victory Lane and celebrate a very special moment with him. We'll look forward to seeing you next week at ISM.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Very happy driver there, Rick Thompson. His first win in the SESRA Series. Huge congratulations from him, and from him, we will pivot to the man who came and finished in the second position after starting on the pole. Justin Prince has caught up with Jeff Ward.
Jeff, start this off simple. How do you feel about finishing off unofficially second in this, I don't even know how to describe it, crazy race? I guess it's a very, very, very understatement of this race tonight.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to get that one over with. That was a mess. Actually, I think I got third and Spencer got second. I don't think that scoring's correct right there.
Yeah. Hence why unofficial. That was because both him and Cozy Jr. ended up passing the pace car. Or we'll have to see if that, again, is updated throughout the week. But let's talk about how the racing itself went tonight. How difficult was it to try and get into a rhythm with basically all the incidents, all the chaos going on around you throughout the night?
Well, for 3/4 of the race, we was able to keep the nose clean. I don't even think I had any damage at all. And then this all heck broke loose there towards the end of the race. A lot of cautions. If you got stuck on the bottom on restarts, it was hard to get up to the top where the speed was. And I'm just glad I was able to survive and get a third there. And you know, that was pretty crazy there at the end, guys retaliating against each other. And I even went up to bump Spencer. He kind of come up on me there coming out of the corner. And at the moment, I was a little heated and gave him a little bump and spun him around. I didn't mean to do that, so we just talked about it. Everything's good, but yeah, just a crazy night. Like I said, I'm glad I was able to come out here with the third and retain the points lead and not drop too many points to Spencer. And we'll get out of here and go to the next one. Hopefully, it's a lot cleaner. We can only get better from here as a league because that there was pretty bad.
I have to say I kind of have to agree with the kind of racing tonight, but of course going to ISM for the next race. Another short track, but of course a different kind of racetrack than this kind of a race tonight. What do you hope to see or expect to see from that race next week?
Yeah, that new Phoenix track, it can be pretty dicey too with the shortcut dog leg there that you can, there'll be a lot of guys trying to go down there and force 2, 3, sometimes 4 wide. And I'm a big fan of the old version. I'm kind of starting to adapt to this new one a little bit, but it's not one of my best tracks. So it's definitely going to be kind of like it was here in Irwindale for me. Just go out there and try to salvage the top 5 and keep the nose clean and just keep fighting towards the end of this championship here.
Anyone rather you want to thank before we let you go here tonight?
Yeah, congrats to Rick on the win there. I know there was some controversy involved, but he was actually asking me through Messenger to share some wheel settings with him. He just got a new wheel, and so that's big for him. Got a new wheel, won a race, and so congrats to him. Thanks to you guys for doing the broadcast there at LSRTV. Thanks to Dr. Squatch. Head over to their website, check out some of their soap, other accessories. Thanks to Loud Pedal Motorsports, all the guys at the shop there, and just thanks to my dad and friends and family.
Thank you very much for the time. Congratulations on the unofficial second, either way, top 3 finish.
All right, thanks, guys.
And that was Jeff Ward coming away again unofficially in second, however, crossing the line inside the top 5 today. David?
Now we'll transition to talk to our rookie driver who unofficially finished in the 3rd position. That's the driver, Tyler Dugan. And Tyler, first race out here for the SESRA series. You come to Irwindale. It's sort of a up-and-down event for you, but in the end, you come home unofficially in 3rd. Tell us about your maiden voyage here in the SESRA series.
Hey, man, first off, I got to thank Travis Brown for letting me race his car this week. Man, I really can't thank him enough, and the guys for letting me join this league last minute. I literally just joined the league like a couple hours ago, but it was a pretty fun race. I was faster than 3rd, but I made so many mistakes tonight that I'll take a 3rd. I just wish I could have been up there because I was racing with Preet and them up front for a while until I missed my pit box.
We did notice that, and you recovered nicely despite the issues on pit road. So 1 race in the books, you were up as high as 2nd, challenging for the lead. What's your big takeaway from this event here tonight?
Well, takeaway is that this league produces pretty dang good racing, and I really want to make the next race, so hopefully I'll be able to find a car to race.
Well, for those out there listening, if you have the ability to get this man into the race at ISM Raceway next week, Thursday night, this is certainly a guy you want to put into your car. And Tyler, for 200 laps around Irwindale, no easy task. A lot of beating and banging out there. Do you think it was the setup? Do you think it was something else, the lights being on, or something else that was leading to all the contact here tonight?
I think the setup and the lights, because it was really fast at night, and the setup was pretty tight, so the bottom really didn't work too well, and you just had to push and hit people off the corners to make passes.
And Tyler, I'll give you the opportunity, as customary here, for a podium finish. Here, we'll give you the chance to say hello to your friends, family, sponsors, and everyone else who helps you get out here tonight in the 0-1 and go to an unofficial 3rd place finish.
Hey, man, I just like to thank the guys who make this league go, and I'd love to thank you guys for the broadcast, and Travis Brown for letting me race his car. It was an honor running the famed 01.
Started 6th, finishes 3rd, ran as high as 2nd. That's Tyler Dugan, the rookie. Congratulations. Hopefully we'll see you in a car next week at ISM.
Yeah, you have a good one.
And a good run for Tyler Dugan. However, I believe that paint scheme did have a story. Hopefully we can hear said story maybe next week. But the driver who was 2nd at the stripe, however, got moved down unofficially outside the top 10 for the time being, is Spencer Preet, who joins us in the broadcast booth. Going to be potentially moved officially up to the 2nd spot with that scoring error, essentially. But how do you feel about this wild race here tonight, Spencer?
I'm a little upset at myself, to say the least, with how I played it. I should have known better than to stay out when I did and then pit when I did, because I think I made the wrong call in both those instances. But I mean, this is one of those tracks that's just always gonna. It's so difficult to pass. So it produces like a very unique style of racing where a lot of the moves you make, it's very hard to go on the offensive. You have to always be playing defense to try to maintain. And I felt like, for the first 130 laps, I was playing it perfect up front. I mean, it's easy to say that running up front, but I mean, I felt like I did everything that I needed to do to maintain the lead and not really overwork the car. And then I decided to stay out when everyone else pit. It really wasn't a decision I wanted to make, but I was too hesitant to come down and take that last set. And then I held on for however many laps we went on the run after that and still was in the lead. But I had that last set on pit road and there was 40 laps left and I wanted to take it and I didn't want it to be sitting there. I didn't want it to just go green all the way to the end and have me get run over by everybody. So, but in hindsight, with the way it played out in the end, I think me staying out there would have been a better call. So it's one of those races. I like this track, but at the same time, it's so hard to pass and, it can be really frustrating for sure. And that's what happened there at the end. That's why we went caution to the finish, because people get frustrated. You can't pass all race, and then you finally get a chance on, late race restarts to get all you can get and get as many spots as possible, and people overdo it.
I think you hit the nail on the head right there, especially with some of the questions I had to ask, actually, in regards to some of the stuff to think about with this kind of a race. But basically at this point, there's, of course, a lot to take with this. Now heading off to Phoenix, or ISM Raceway, rather. What do you hope, or what do you expect to see for that kind of race? Again, a short track, but a very different short track than what we've seen tonight.
I think it'll be one of those races that kind of spreads out. It's very unique. It's not one of those. It's a place that it can be very problematic if people kind of, again, like, try to get as much as they can get. But like, there's so many places that you can pass there, and there's a lot of different ways that you can go about it. So I think if it kind of spreads out, I think that could be one of those races that runs real smooth. I'm looking forward to it. I think that's one of my better tracks. So, at this point, I don't know. I crossed the line second. As far as I'm concerned, I finished second tonight, but I barely went far enough into the pits to get a black flag for passing the pace car after the race is over. So I don't. Hopefully, I've still scored second when it's all said and done. But if that's the case, I made up 1 point again on Jeff, and it's not looking great, because with him being 30 points ahead, that's basically a race's worth of points, an entire race. If he were to miss a race entirely and I won, if we don't have 30 people show up, that's, well, actually, never mind that. But my math's a little wrong there. But if he gets wrecked out lap 1 next week and finishes 25th, I don't even make up all that ground, even if I do win. So it's a situation where now I'm kind of, I'm out here racing for my pride. I'm not going to lay down and let him have it, but he's definitely got it in hand at this point. It's out of my control. There's I can win every race, and if he does what he needs to do, it's his championship to lose. So just gonna head to ISM and do what I've been doing these last couple weeks. Just hope that it finally pays off. It's been a rough stretch, I think.
Indeed. Anyone else? Anyone you want to thank, or anything you want to say before you let you go here tonight?
Just shout out to Dr. Squatch for being on board and being a part of this league, being on my car. Shout out to everyone on Rebellion. And shout out to Cozy. He had a really rough night. His stream, everyone watching. You guys for putting on the broadcast.
Thank you very much for the time. Congratulations on the good run today. We'll see if you get officially placed into the second spot. Congratulations either way on a good run.
Thank you.
And that was Spencer Preet coming away with a good run tonight. And what was a wild race, all I can really say, David. I don't know what else really to add to this in terms of this crazy race tonight. I think I can expect to see a very different but potentially cleaner race for Phoenix next week.
Wise idiom is, if there's nothing left to say, there's nothing left to say. And with that, we will look forward to next week, February 28th, going out to the Jewel in the Desert ISM Raceway out in Avondale, Arizona for the Desert 200. You catch it right here, of course, on LSRTV, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and see what sort of carryover we might get from a wild night here at Irwindale Speedway, but we will leave it there. For our producer, Wheels, Brett Wheeler, doing a great job bringing you the sights and sounds of the racing action. For my partner in the booth, Justin Prince, I'm David Schildhaus, saying congratulations, first-time winner, Rick Thompson, and good night from Irwindale.
This broadcast.
Here's a couple reviews from real customers. Joseph S. says,
"This is the perfect bar of soap. It's like it was handcrafted in the Northwest Forest by beautiful tiny elves."
Oh, tiny elves isn't enough for you? Well, here's another review from Michael A.
It makes you feel like you just stepped out of a mountain stream, and Squatch was there to hand you the towel.
Click the link for Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. Real soap for real men.
The following is a special presentation of iRacing on LSRTV, your home for sim racing.